Why is it everything in
Nex Machina.
seems to revolve around people dying?
The spiral of death
Huh?
Nex Machina.
is full of death. It is a cycle of death, spiraling endlessly.
It turns out I can't aim. I have been holding controllers with a left stick and a right stick, twin sticks, if you will, for 30 years. And I didn't know until February of this year that I cannot aim with a right stick to save my life. To me, it's the lock-on button, the camera control button, one half of rolling a Katamari or activating Spartan Rage. None of these require fast-paced precision. You have to be only vaguely on the ball. In the middle of a fight in Dark Souls 2, I may want to unlock the camera and pan to the right, but I don't really care if I pan towards 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I can make it work. Anyhow, it turns out that my genre choices were hiding what was essentially a plus or minus 20-degree scatter plot of possible directions that my thumb was pressing, and it turns out that Stormtrooper caliber aim, like mine, is not a great match for twin-stick shooters. All right, 5 squares into my attempt to sample one game in each of the 25 genres on this bingo board, and here we are, my first bingo. I picked this as my first line to try and get a bingo in because it seemed easiest to complete. I have had to teach myself how to record and edit videos along the way, and I felt like I didn't need the extra burden of very long games mixed in. A JRPG, a CRPG, a grand strategy game, etc. This vertical stripe seemed, and actually was, all about 20 hours or less to get through. Very achievable. That, by its nature, came with a little less variety. 3 of these games are 2D action games. 2 of them are in genres I've already played a ton of already, and 2 of them also are very specifically arcade-style games that focus on shooting a lot of bullets while you try not to get hit at all. Game number 5 is a twin-stick shooter, and this game is called Nex Machina. And I don't know what to make of it. There's a lot about it that I do like. I like the music and the time pressure and all of the secrets scattered around the stages. Learning where all the normal and secret humans are, where all the visitors and beacons and score multipliers are, learning new approaches to each stage while chaining humans. But there were 2 major problems that kept getting in the way for me. One, as alluded to above, in games about aiming your shots, it kind of matters where you're aiming. Okay, this is stage 1-2, second screen in the game. And to the north of your starting point, in some bushes, is a beacon, a target you can destroy for score. Almost immediately when you spawn into the stage, enemies appear and target you. The game's expectation, I think, is that you quickly take out the beacon and then maneuver around the enemy swarm while whittling them down. Problem is, I am very bad at hitting that beacon from anything short of point-blank range. Because I'm used to using right sticks for camera control, my thumb is okay at aiming left and right, but extremely unreliable when aiming up or down. So stage 1-2 gets a little sloppy for me right out of the gate, 9 times out of 10. Now imagine this issue repeated over and over across an entire playthrough. Imagine me trying to estimate how much time I have to tag a given human, and then trying to budget time for shooting various targets along the way to that human, and then failing to hit those targets, and then failing to reach that human. One thing I will add in the game's favor here, and which did ameliorate my aiming problems, is the sub-weapon system. Some of those sub-weapons, and especially the rocket launcher, do require precision that I was not prepared to offer. But others, like the power shot, give you a preview of exactly where you'll hit before committing, and others like the sword or the smart bomb require no aiming whatsoever. And my favorite sub-weapon, the detonator, tosses out a bomb with a large enough AoE on detonation that being super precise rarely matters. So that was something of a sweet spot for me. Even with my right thumb being all thumbs, I still enjoyed the game, and on Rookie, the lowest difficulty, the process of practicing each of the 5 worlds and then completing the whole game without getting game over was a lot of fun. Even if, compared to last episode's Androdunos 2, I was getting regularly frustrated. My lack of precision with the angle of the right stick meant that there was a disconnect between what I thought I was going to do and what I did, and that never went away. When I tried to switch to the second difficulty level, Experienced, I had hoped that my time spent practicing on Rookie would make it smoother for me, but instead, the tighter timing requirements and more aggressive enemy layouts on Experienced made my scattershot aim a bigger problem, and it got me to a breaking point. And here I need to mention my actual least favorite thing about the game, which is the very noisy visuals. The visual style of this game is a lot of oversaturated, overlapping objects with particle effects that deliberately bleed color. It's cool in screenshots, it's cool in videos, and I don't mind dying in games, as is clear from some other videos in this series. But in Nex Machina, I kept getting blindsided. I didn't understand in a lot of cases what was killing me, sometimes several times in a row. And Nex Machina, for all its strengths, is unfortunately also very fond of killing the player several times in a row, because you lose one of your hard-earned power-ups on death, and need to pick it up before dying a second time to reclaim it, else you lose it forever. But you also start the stage over on death, and your power-up might be clear on the other side of the map, or it might be in a dangerous spot. When I lost my detonator this way, all of a sudden my precision aiming problems got worse at the worst time. This is a classic dynamic which factors into the design of a lot of games, from Raiden to Dark Souls, but because of Nex Machina's visual clarity problems, Nex Machina is particularly prone to chain deaths. Sometimes a mistake cost me just one life, but sometimes it precipitated a chain reaction that wiped out my whole stock of lives. The single most important step on the journey to beat the full game on Rookie was getting just good enough that I could more often collect another hit-absorbing shield after a mistake before my next mistake. Only once I could avoid the death spiral altogether did the game really come together for me and become exhilarating rather than frustrating. Having a shield skips the most painful dynamic. And I get it. Maybe if I played more twin sticks over the years, I would be more accustomed to aiming via the right stick, and I would be more acclimated to Housemarque's messy visual style. That's fair, and for every square on this bingo board, I'm not making any sort of objective statement on the quality of the game. I'm just trying to understand what about the genre may or may not work for me using that one game as a lens. Setting aside my actual past, there is still a potential future in which I could stick with Nex Machina, or another twin stick, get used to the visuals, and above all, get good at right stick aiming. But while, as I said in the previous video, it is good to get better at things, I can't get better at all things. And I think that continuing to develop my skills in, for example, racing games or shmups is much more likely to be rewarding. I think I get more out of both the journey and the destination in both those cases. And I think twin sticks just aren't rewarding enough for me to dedicate more time to. They don't measure up. Safe to say, I'll be putting Nex Machina away, and won't be climbing the higher difficulties. For what it's worth, I enjoyed Rookie more than I disliked it, and wouldn't categorically rule out trying another twin stick like Sectori or Star of Providence or Assault Android Cactus someday, but for now I can't shake the feeling that this genre just isn't a good use of my time. And that on its own is an interesting observation I'm taking away here. In some ways, Androdunos 2 and Nex Machina are similar, as arcade-style shooting games that encourage the player to learn the layouts of every screen, to plan, to practice, and eventually to pull off a full album-length run of the game. But the specifics of the differences mean that when I am in the mood to play an arcade-style game, when I have the bandwidth to attempt a 1cc, I am very unlikely to pick a twin stick over a shmup. These are genres which compete for the same ecological niche, and for me, twin sticks just can't compete. On a more positive cross-genre note, this does make me think that I might really enjoy a Housemarque game that doesn't require this type of right-stick precision and is a little easier to read visually. In other words, Returnal. Up next, I cast my gaze on the bingo board's top left to bottom right diagonal, and after 5 somewhat short but sweet titles, we're diving into the deep end with my first certified long game, the JRPG Fantasian Neo Dimension. I came into this one a little nervous about what a JRPG designed for Apple Arcade might mean, but I was a Final Fantasy fan growing up, and I'm hoping that goodwill for Hironobu Sakaguchi and Nobuo Uematsu will help me see the best in whatever Fantasian has to offer. Good luck to me, and see you next time.